guys and gals, this is Grace Everlasting 7 here, and in today's video I thought we'd take a peek at the virtual console inside of the eShop, and I'm going to do that with my new 2DS XL. So we're going to poke around and see what's in the virtual console. I actually haven't really done much perusing in the eShop or the virtual console, so kind of going to be taking a look at this together. If you've already been through this, you might want to skip this video if you're familiar with this and watch some of my other videos. Alright, so let's dive right in here. And so we'll see how far we get. So in the virtual console here, first we have Pokemon Silver version. In English is $9.99. And this is for the Game Boy Color. I didn't really get into Pokemon, maybe on the GBA a little bit. I think there was one of the games I played on the Game Boy Color, but I'm not too familiar with this. So this is available in the eShop, which is pretty awesome. Next is Pokemon Gold version, also the English version. I guess they might have multiple versions, for $9.99. I'm not too familiar with this version either. Next is Pokemon Yellow version for $9.99. So if you're into the Pokemon, they have plenty of them from the Game Boy Color. Next game is Super Mario Bros. 3 from the NES, and it is $4.99. And I'm not sure how much the cartridges are going for the NES, but I think this is a pretty good deal, especially if you like the Super Mario Bros. 3. This is also portable, so you can put it on your system and take it with you. Can't really do that with the NES system, but I loved playing Super Mario Bros. 3. That is my favorite out of all of them, I would say, Super Mario Bros. 3. It's kind of a tough call between that and N64, but I think Super Mario Bros. 3 wins. So I would definitely pick this up. This is going on my list, I'm sure. Next is Super Mario World for the Super NES for $7.99. Another great Mario game. I would definitely pick this one up also. I loved playing Super Mario World. It was so much fun, and getting to use Yoshi in Super Mario was a lot of fun. Pokemon Red version for $9.99. I don't have much to say about these Pokemon versions, and this was on the Game Boy, so I really don't have much to say. I think the only thing I played on the Game Boy was Tetris, pretty much, and I think maybe one of the original Mario games. It's been so long. Alright, next one is Super Mario Bros. On the NES, and it is $4.99. Now, my first system was an NES, and this was the very first game that I played on the NES, so this definitely has some nostalgia value just because I remember playing this when I was a kid, and I would add this to my list. Next, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for Super NES, and this is for $7.99. Alright, another Pokemon game, Pokemon Blue version for $9.99. Not much I got to say about that. The Legend of Zelda for the NES for $4.99. Now this one, I think this is the one I haven't played, and it is on my GameCube compilation. I just have not touched it yet, so shame on me, I know. But it is available in the virtual console, so if you don't have the NES version or any other system that has it, then this would be the perfect way to get it. Super NES Earthbound for $9.99. Now this is a pretty awesome title to have on the virtual console because this cartridge is expensive. So if you are an Earthbound fan, if you are an Earthbound fan, then you definitely want to pick this up for sure. Super Metroid for the Super NES is $7.99. I don't believe I played the Super Metroid one, unless it was the NES one I didn't play. One of them I didn't play. I can't remember because it was, again, a long time ago. I had this system when I was a kid. NES is Super Mario Bros. 2 for $4.99. I did play Super Mario Brothers 2, and it was kind of an interesting installment of the Super Mario Brothers. It really wasn't like the first one and different from the third one. And I found out later on that we got a different Super Mario Brothers 2 in North America here. And I wound up playing the original second version. They call it the Lost Levels. But that was supposed to be the Super Mario Brothers 2 for North America, and they changed it and made it this version, apparently, because those Lost Level ones, if you ever played it, are super difficult. Brutally difficult. Still fun, though. I got a chance to play them later on the Super Nintendo. They made a little compilation of all the Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on the Game Boy Color for $5.99. I did not play this on the Game Boy Color, so I don't have much to say about this. Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons for $5.99, and this was on the Game Boy Color. I have not played this, but I have debated on getting this, so if anybody knows if this is decent or worth a playthrough, let me know in the comments below. And that goes for any of the other games that I don't know much about. Same thing with this one. This was Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages, and $5.99 on the Game Boy Color. I haven't played this either, ever, so if either of those Zelda games are decent, just let me know. It looks kind of interesting. It's very cartoonish. Next, Metroid on the NES, $4.99. Pretty excited. The first Metroid game, I believe it's the first Metroid game, yeah. First Metroid game that was ever released, and pretty much started the series right there. Donkey Kong Country for the Super NES, $7.99. I think out of the series, the second one was my favorite. I did play the first one a fair bit, but I always love to play the second one the most. Definitely a good pickup, though, if you don't have it. Pokemon Trading Card Game for the Game Boy Color, $5.99. I have nothing to say. Next, Super Mario Kart for the Super NES, $7.99. I've played this a little bit, and compared to other Mario Karts now, I know it's not much and everything has changed and gotten better and different, but if you enjoy the Super Mario Karts, I would pick it up. I'd probably skip this one, though, because I have one on the N64 and one on the GameCube, and those are pretty fun to play, so I don't really have a need for it. Punch-Out! Featuring Mr. Dream, $4.99 is the NES. I was never really big on the Punch-Out games, so this would be one I would skip. But if some of you have memories playing this, I never really played this, so I would skip this one. Castlevania for the NES, $4.99. And again, the first Castlevania game on the NES is what started it all. I know some of these, actually a lot of these Castlevania games are pretty difficult, but they are really fun to play, at least in my opinion. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest. This was the second one for $7.99 on the Super NES. This is the one I played a ton, and I love this one, so I'm pretty excited it's on the Virtual Console. I'll probably pick this up for sure. Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, $4.99 for the NES. I don't believe I've played this second one, so it might be something I'd be looking into picking up, because if you haven't seen my other videos, I am a huge Zelda fan. I love the Zelda series, but unfortunately there were some that I didn't really play. I didn't get into the Zelda series till I was a little bit older, but that's okay. I can just go back and play the other ones. Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels for $4.99 on the NES. This was supposed to be the second game after the Super Mario Brothers, after the first one. And because it's Super Mario Brothers 2, you can see on the top here, Super Mario Brothers 2. And I believe that's what Japan and Europe got. But we had a different Super Mario Brothers 2, as I said before. And when we got the release, it was the Lost Levels one. It is hard. Very fun, but it is hard. You can beat it, but it might take a few tries on some of the levels. Alright, the next page. Super Castlevania 4, $7.99 on the Super NES. I'm probably going to skip through some of these because I don't want it to take too long. Mega Man X on the Super NES for $7.99. Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, $4.99 on the NES. I didn't really play too many of the earlier Castlevania games. Sonic the Hedgehog, $4.99 on the Game Gear. Sonic the Hedgehog I played on the Sega Genesis. I don't think I ever played it on the Game Gear, but it's still pretty fun to play. Might be good to have on the go. Donkey Kong for the NES for $4.99. If you're a Donkey Kong fan, I don't think I played this original one though. Kirby's Dream Land 2 for the Game Boy for $3.99. I did not really have a Game Boy. Well, it's not like you didn't really have it. I did not have a Game Boy. I had a friend that had one, so I'd borrow his and play it sometimes, but yeah. Alright, Spanish version, in case you speak Spanish. Wario Land Super Mario Land 3 for $3.99 on the Game Boy. So they have some original Game Boy titles. That's pretty awesome. Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Trouble, I believe it says, $7.99 on the Super NES. I don't think I played the third one, at least not very much. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, $4.99 on the NES. I might have to pick up some of these earlier Castlevania games. And this one too, Shantae for $4.99 on the Game Boy Color. I heard this one was a hard one to find, so might be good to pick it up on the Virtual Console. I'm not sure how much it's running. I just heard that it runs a pretty decent price. Galaga for the NES for $4.99. Mega Man X3, $7.99 on the Super NES. Pokemon Silver version has a Spanish version. Pokemon Puzzle Challenge for the Game Boy Color, $4.99. This feel like a puzzle game. This would be the one to pick up on the Game Boy Color version. Mario Brothers for the NES, $4.99. This one doesn't sound familiar to me. I don't remember what this one is. Castlevania Dracula X, Super NES, $7.99. Not one that I played. I know, there's a bunch of these I haven't played on some of the older retro consoles. Super Punch-Out for the Super NES for $7.99. Again, I didn't play Punch-Out, so not one of the games that I would pick up. But for some of you that have played it in your younger years or played it recently and might be something you want to pick up. Wario Land 3 for the Game Boy Color, $4.99. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, $4.99 is a Game Gear game. I didn't really play Game Gear that much. One of my friends had it. Mario Tennis, Game Boy Color, $5.99. Pretty self-explanatory, I'd say. Pac-Man on the NES, $4.99. Like any other Pac-Man game, I'd imagine. Don't have too much to say about Pac-Man. I definitely played in the arcade a ton. Super NES, Breath of Fire 2 for $7.99. I am not too familiar with the Breath of Fire series. Sonic the Hedgehog, Triple Trouble, $4.99 on Game Gear. Super NES, Contra 3, The Alien Wars, $7.99. I was not very good at shooting games, so I don't think I ever played this one. I'm familiar with it though. Alright, Ninja Gaiden on the NES, $4.99. Ninja Gaiden is fun, I enjoyed that one. Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the NES, $7.99. I did not play this. So for some of these that I didn't play, it might be good for some of you who have played it to chime in and say, yeah, it's good, buy it on the Virtual Console, or no, it's not, never mind. Or even the original cartridge, because I don't have the NES or Super NES yet, but I do have a list of games I want to add to it. NES Mega Man 2 for $4.99. Donkey Kong Land on the Game Boy for $3.99. Harvest Moon 3 on the Game Boy Color for $4.99. I don't think I started playing this till like the GameCube. Castlevania The Adventure on the original Game Boy for $2.99. Tecmo Bowl, $4.99 on the NES. Breath of Fire, $7.99 was on the Super NES. Street Fighter Alpha 2, $7.99 on the Super NES. Sonic Blast for Game Gear, $3.99. Harvest Moon was on the Game Boy Color, $4.99. Wario Land 2 on the Game Boy Color, $4.99. Demon's Crest was on the Super NES, $7.99. Dig Dug on the NES for $4.99. I remember Dig Dug. Sonic Drift 2, Game Gear, $3.99. Did not play that. Shining Force. Sword of something. I have no idea how to say that name, but it's $3.99 on the Game Gear. I know I have a Shining Force game. It definitely wasn't on the Game Gear. I think I have it for the Game Boy Advance. Super C NES, $4.99. Game & Watch Gallery 3, $3.99 for the Game Boy Color. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, $2.99 on the GameCube. On the GameCube. That's Game Gear, not GameCube. Super Street Fighter 2. The New Challengers. Couldn't read that through there. $7.99. Street Fighter's a lot of fun. F-Zero Super NES, $7.99. I loved playing F-Zero. My brother and sister and I would play this game to death on the Super Nintendo. Lots and lots of memories. So fun. I would get it on the Virtual Console just so you can bring it with you, but I would definitely pick it up as a cart for the Super Nintendo also. But that's me. Street Fighter 2 Turbo, $7.99. Mega Man 7 for the Super NES, $7.99. Mega Man on the NES for $4.99. And River City Ransom on the NES for $4.99. Alright, since there are a lot of games on here, I think I'm going to cut it off right here. So, I've gone through about half of it. So, as you can see, that's just half of them. So, there's quite a bunch of games on the Virtual Console. Man, NES, Super NES, Game Boy Color. There were some Game Boy games on there. Game Gear games. I might have missed a couple of the systems. But there's a ton of games on the Virtual Console. So if there are some of the original carts out there, like a couple of them were pretty expensive for the cart version, I would say this is a pretty good value. You have it with you, it's on your system, you take it on the go, and you don't have to sacrifice your firstborn to get it. So I would say this is a pretty good value. Now, for those of you that have played some of these games, and like I said, I haven't, please leave in the comments below your thoughts, what you think of the game, if it's worth picking up. If it's in the Virtual Console, I'm sure some of them are. But just what your thoughts are, if you've played it and what you think of it. I'd appreciate some suggestions of what I've gone over so far. So, stay tuned for part 2 of this Virtual Console, and I will go over some of the rest of the games that are in here. And don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. And check out my other gaming videos on my channel. I would appreciate it. So thanks for watching, and have a good one.